Hey guys, this is Sasha with Arminco Inc. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Today I'm going to be focusing on the differences between a standard design for a dental clinic and a great design, and what makes the difference between a great design and a standard design. Good design is the key, honestly, to keeping your patients happy and relaxed. It's also the key. The difference between a good design and a standard design is a good design will keep your patients happy and relaxed, and will keep you and your staff happy and relaxed and comfortable. Because at the end of the day, it's as important for the patients as it is for you, the doctors, to make sure that your design works for you every day. I mean, if you think about it, you're spending, I laugh when I say this, 40 hours a week. We all know we work a lot more than 40 hours a week. When you're spending 50, 60 hours a week in the office, it's got to be a comfortable atmosphere. So today I want to talk about some tips and tricks when you're considering dental office design. We're not going to get into too many specifics. We're always available through our YouTube channel and through our website for more specific questions, but I want to just hit some major tips and tricks. Starting with the layout and the floor plan phase. This is such a critical phase. The layout, the floor plan, this is the bones of your entire office. A lot of people think design and the first thing they think about is colors, materials, stone, and all this pretty stuff you actually see behind me. But before we can even consider any of this stuff, we've got to get the floor plan locked down. That's wall locations, preliminary plumbing locations, furniture locations. And what makes a layout great versus good is multiple factors. The most important factor being patient flow and operatory and clinical sizing. So patient flow, let's talk about that. What is it? Patient flow is whenever you've got a floor plan and you want to make it so that the patients have a single track in and out. Ideally, it's almost like you'll hear this term racetrack, where it's almost like a circle. That's one option. But when you're considering patient flow, a good architect, a good designer will take into consideration every element of your office and place it properly, almost like a Lego or Tetris set. Because here's a great example. If you've got operatories all in the back of your office and then a sterilization all in the front of your office, now you've got staff walking up and down the office carrying bloody gauze and utensils and things like that, and we can't do that. Ideally, better patient flow would be operatories within one hallway, so 4 feet of your sterilization, somewhere that it's centralized where the staff can easily get to it. So patient flow, it's hard to say what specifically makes one office better than another. All I can tell you about patient flow is you want an expert who knows patient flow, who's been in dental offices. Every dentist is unique, I get that. Every dental office is unique. But having an expert that understands patient flow can work with you to get you that perfect flow so people aren't bumping into each other. The sterilization techniques are as best as they could be, minimizing infection, anything, we want to make sure that the office is working smoothly and safely. Another thing that's important when you're space planning, layout, floor planning, and just to reiterate guys, when you're talking to an architect or designer, you may hear floor plan, you may hear space plan, you may hear layout. All of this jargon is all pretty much the same thing. Test fit, even if you're talking to like a broker or building, it's all the same thing. It's basically, again, that skeletal frame of the location of your rooms, hallways, basically the minimal of information needed to start architecture and engineering. So you might hear me say space plan, you might hear me say floor plan, but when you're considering floor plan and space plan and you've already considered patient flow, the next thing you want to do is you want to consider not just patient flow, but HIPAA certifications. You want to consider public space versus private space in the office. So what I mean by that is, if you've got a check-in right next to a checkout, that's going to make somebody like let's say I'm your customer and I'm in the checkout area and maybe my check bounces or I've got some billing issues. I don't want the rest of the waiting area hearing that. I mean, regardless, it's a HIPAA issue in one sense, but it's a patient comfort issue in another sense. So a good architect, a good designer will take into consideration public space, which is, for example, a waiting area, hallways, common corridors, versus private space, sterilization, lab, mechanical room, employee lounge, that sort of thing. So when you're considering your floor plan, try to consider your patient flow, try to consider public and private space, and when you're looking at it with your architect, you feel free to, if something doesn't make sense to you, it might be a code reason why the architects put it there, but if something doesn't make sense to you, a good architect will work with you to come up with a solution of, let's say, it's a perfect floor plan, but the panoramic machine is way in the back. there are certain tweaks and things we can do to make sure that that panoramic is closer to the front, closer to a consultation where it makes sense for you and your staff. So floor plans, layouts, I'm one of only 6 people at Arminco who does floor plans layouts, so we've got a ton of experience. Any questions about that, please reach out to us. I'm gonna move on from that to the actual design and why design matters. Bottom line, why does design matter? It's not, some people say, I don't need a fancy office. I don't need to show off. I get that, I support that. But a properly designed office improves patient experience and staff experience. You don't need to spend the money of a Taj Mahal to have repeat clients, and if you're a general, for example, if you're a general dentist, and have your clients come back in and telling their friends about how beautiful this office is. But great design improves patient experience, improves staff experience. It can make a much more comfortable experience for the staff as well as your clientele. As well, when considering design, when considering patient experience and design, imagery, colors, and materials go a long way. A lot of people say, Sasha, I look at the floor plans and the designs on your guys' offices, and you guys, it's like things I've never seen before. That's because back in the day, design was the same thing. You just put a couple vanilla walls on the vanilla paints on the wall, and you just want it to be open for business as soon as possible. These days, with the way marketing is going, the way social media is going, I mean, people Google map everything before they go to it. They want to see the inside of their office. If possible, they want to walk through your office through Google Maps, because that's just the way people make decisions. I make a joke all the time. My 12-year-old niece once Google mapped a park before her and I walked to it because she wanted to see what kind of slides and things are there. So it's as important for your comfort and imagery as it is for your marketing and social media campaigns. So your office design goes a long way, not just for your patient experience, but your social media boosts. Another thing with proper office design is, this is something a lot of people forget. They're so focused on a beautiful office and a pretty office and being the best of the most best office, but you got to consider design elements that minimize infection spread and sterilization techniques. At the end of the day, this is a medical office. We can't have a lot of pores. We can't have ideally any porous surfaces. We want to make sure that the clientele, when they're in your office, feel comfortable, feel safe. They see your modern technology. I mean, you guys are spending $60,000+ on these 3D X-ray machines. There's no reason to hide it. If it's in a proper location and it's nice and roomy room, the patient's going to feel a lot more comfortable. So your technology, all that money you're spending on your technology, it's for the patient. And you're spending that money, let them see it. Let the design show off the technology elements that we want to show off, especially for you endo guys and you gals out there, because you guys are working with a ton of cool technology and you're working within millimeters, so maybe they're not understanding everything you're bringing to the table to them. Which brings me to my last segment of design when you're considering design, technology. Kind of mentioned it really quickly, but technology's come a long way, guys. I mean, the old days of dentistry I remember when I first started designing, charts were still in. About 12 years ago when I first started with this company, charts were still in, and we always had to design floor plans, have a location for patient charts. And the way the digital age is now with the modern technology, it's opened up a lot of space in the office for more important things, because you don't make money in consultation rooms. I mean, I take that back. You do, you talk business, but you make money in your examination rooms, in your hygiene rooms, in your surgical rooms. That's where we make money. So when you're considering a floor plan and considering a test fit, a lot of people say, Sasha, where do you start? Like, I start on, whenever I'm designing a floor plan from the beginning, I start in the areas you make money and in the areas of the technology. So if you want to do your own floor plan, you're like, well, Sasha, I kind of want to draw my own floor plan. How would I start? Start with your ops. Start with where the ops are going to sit and design everything around that. Ideally, you always want to maximize the number of operatories. I understand there's different specialties out there. I understand if you're in New York City, you've got a lot less square footage than if you're in, let's say, rural Texas area. But when you're considering a floor plan, always consider the location of your operatories first, and then kind of work your way. I always see the mistake of people focusing on the waiting room. I'm like, yes, patients need to be comfortable in the waiting room, especially in a post-COVID world, but you don't make money in the waiting room. You make money in your examination rooms, hygiene rooms, and your surgical suites. So how that ties in with technology. Technology is also an important area. So after you've located your chairs, the next thing you want to do is work on your technology areas. The big one for dentistry, the most important technology area of dentistry is your imaging. So that's your panoramic machines, and your wall-mounted X-ray units, or as a lot of you know, there's some people are moving away from wall-mounted X-ray units and they're doing the handheld X-ray units, and that's a whole other thing we can talk about with design. But start with your ops, work your way through technology, then work your way up into the waiting room, private offices, break rooms, that sort of thing, because those are areas that we can, worst case, minimize the size of the rooms. If we need to minimize or maybe lose a private office to get an operatory, I highly recommend it. So these are just a couple of tips and tricks. We're going to be doing a ton of videos like this, talking about what we go through with patients. We might even have examples in the future. Definitely like and subscribe this YouTube channel. Check out our website also, www.armincoinc.com. Our portfolio has a ton of cool images. Reach out to us, even if you want just examples of floor plans. I get a ton of clients who call me in and say, can you just show me a 2,500 square foot pediatric dentistry plan? No problem. We've got, I'd say, probably 400 to 500 examples that we can show at any given time. So please check us out and look out for the next video.